You're watching Make WordPress Work with Lisa Butler of Elembee.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a coming soon page. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is install our coming soon page plugin. So go to Plugins and Add New. Now we're going to search for Seed Prod. And it's the first plugin that pops up, the Coming Soon Page in Maintenance Mode by Seed Prod. Now, this is the free version. I'm going to show you the free version first, and then I'll show you the premium version, which is the one that I recommend. It has a few more features, but if you're just trying to get something up and running, the free version is a great option. So I'm going to install now and activate. And now I'm going to go over to Settings and Coming Soon Page in Maintenance Mode. So the first thing that we want to do is add our headline. If you have a logo, you can go ahead and upload it. Then we want to add a headline. So I'm creating a coming soon page for the podcast that I'm working on with my boyfriend called Company Inc. So I've put that title in there, and then I have a little message saying we're launching soon. And so below that, I want to put my MailChimp sign up form. The free version doesn't have syncing with email list providers, so you have to copy your HTML form into the message. As you'll see in the premium version later, it actually syncs with various email list providers so that you can just select what you're using and it'll sync up, and it has a form that's already designed for that. So I'm going to go into my MailChimp account and open my list. And then I'm going to go to sign up forms. And I'm going to click embedded forms. I'm going to go over to the naked tab so that I can style the form however I want. So I just want to undo all of these options. So we just have a really simple form. So I'm going to copy that. And then you want to make sure you're in the text tab of your message and paste your form below that. Now, once you paste your form, you have to be really careful about switching back to visual mode. In a lot of cases, it's going to disable your form. So what I recommend is building everything else on your page and then doing your sign up form, adding it at the very last thing that you do with your content so that it doesn't mess up your form. Or if you're comfortable, you can just edit in the text window. So we've got our form, we've got our little message. I've turned off the credit. We have a couple of other bits of information. You can actually add your analytics code and some SEO information. So you can do all of that on this first content page. And so I'm going to save all changes. And then we're going to go to the live preview. So really basic, pretty boring. So let's style it up just a little bit. It's actually, I kind of played around with it earlier, so it's actually inherited some of the old styles that I had put in. So let me show you a little bit more. So if we go into the design tab, you can choose a background color or upload a background image. And as you'll see, I've already uploaded a background image. You want to make sure that your background image is about 1920 pixels wide. That's going to make sure that it's wide enough for wider browsers, bigger monitors, but it's still small enough that it will reduce your file size so that it's not taking forever to load. And make sure you save it as a JPEG. So you'll have the responsive background. You can choose your background position. I've just chosen it from the center. So we have all of our background information here. And then if you scroll down to content, you can check the content box. So that's how I've gotten this white box around my content. So the other thing I want to show you really quick, I'm going to take out my CSS that I have in there so you can see what it looks like by default. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. reload the page, and you'll see that by default, they've actually put in this light gray background with a border. So I don't want that to be gray. I want it to be white. So I want to show you how to do that. And then I want to add a little padding to this box. So I'm in Google Chrome, and I'm going to right click and click inspect. And I'm just going to look around the code to see when it highlights the box. And right here is where my box is going to be. So if I look over at the CSS, you can see that's where my background color is added. You can turn it on and off to make sure that's the right thing. And then you can just copy that and scroll down and paste it into your custom CSS. So I'm going to go ahead and put background, make my background white, and take off the border. So now we have our white background back. The other thing that I want to look at is there's not really a lot of padding around my box. I want to increase that a little bit. So right here, the value is padding, and it's on the same div that my background color was on. So I want to increase that a bit, just give it a little more space. So I'm going to change that to 40 pixels. So there we go. Now I want to change up the colors a little bit and change up the fonts. So the free version doesn't come with a lot of fonts. You've got very few choices here. I've just got it set to Georgia for now. I'm going to go ahead and change the text colors within here and see what we have. And then we'll go from there. So my headline color, I want to change that to this blue color that we've selected for our podcast. So we've got that for our headline. The text color, I want to make that navy. And then our link color, I want to make that pink. So I'm going to save those changes and take a look at what we've got. So we have our colors changed. I still want to style up this form a little bit, and I pulled the naked form from MailChimp so that I can have a few more styling options. So first thing that I want to do is change up these fonts, and I'm going to add Google Fonts to our page. Now, if you use the premium version, the Google fonts are already built in. So I'll show you that later in this video. So I've gone to google.com/fonts, and I'm going to build my collection of fonts that I want to use. And I'm going to use Slabo for my title and then Lotto for the rest of my text. So I've added those to my collection. I'm going to go over to use. And I want to select any different weights. So I'm going to go ahead and use the bold of Lotto. I don't think I want any of the others, so we're good there. So we want to add this code to our website. So we copy that, and we're going to go back to our Coming Soon page and go to the Advanced tab. And then we can add this to our header scripts and save changes. So that's going to help us pull Google Fonts into our page, but we have to actually add that in our CSS. So the next thing we want to do is check out our title. So here's our title. We have in our CSS, this is where it says font family is Georgia. So I'm just going to copy all of this. And that's going to change all of my headings to Slabo instead. So I'm going to pull that, add my brackets, and then I'm going to go back to Google Fonts where it says font family. And I'm going to copy that and paste that there. Save all changes, and then we'll reload the page and see where we're at. So we've updated this font. That looks pretty good. You could change the font size if you want. So if you kind of look around in your CSS, there is a font size of 36 pixels for that. So let's say we want to make it 48. I'm going to copy that, put it into my CSS, and then change my font size to 48 pixels. And I also want a little more space, so I'm going to add a margin bottom to this to make sure that there's more space between our header and then the content below it. So margin bottom, I'm going to give that 20 pixels and save that. And there we go. So now I want to change up the body copy. So again, I'm going to inspect element and see what we have. I'm not really finding anything until I scroll down here where it says this seed-CSP for body, and that's where it has font family Georgia. So we're going to copy that and add that to our custom CSS. And then I'm going to go back to my Google Fonts and get the font family for Lotto. So we're going to save that. Reload the page. And there we go. Now we have Lotto in our body copy instead. I'm going to look around and see if I can find where the font size is. And there we go. It's our the same styling that we used before. It has font size of 14 pixels, so we want to update that. And we can expand this box so that we can see a little bit more. So font size, I'm going to make that 18 pixels. Since we don't have a lot of text, we want to make that big and easy to read. So there we go. Another thing that I want to do, I want to add a little more margin between my information and the email address. So if I look, there's an option for our paragraph that has a margin of 10 pixels. So we want to add that. And do margin bottom. Let's make that 20 pixels and save changes. So there we go. I'm going to go back to my content tab and change this label for email address. I'm going to enter your email address. So we've changed that. I like the bold, so I can leave that. But I do want to make this input a little bit larger. So I've inspected element here to check that out and see if I can find any existing styles. And I'm not really seeing anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull this ID of MCE-email. And I'm going to go back to my CSS tab. And I want to add a hashtag before that for our ID. So I want that width to be 100% and maybe give it a padding of 10 pixels. And then I want to go ahead and give it a navy border. So I'm going to copy this color and border. Let's try 2 pixels. So let's see what happens. Okay, I've reloaded the page and we have a much more prominent input. And now we just need to style up our subscribe button. So I'm going to inspect that and see what styles we already have there. And there's not a lot, so I can do pretty much whatever I want here. So I'm going to copy that MC-embedded-subscribe ID. And again, we want to put a hashtag before that since it's an ID. Oops, forgot the hashtag. So I want to make that width 100% as well. I want to make the background pink. So I'm going to pull this pink color from up here. I'm going to take away the border. But I do want to add a border I want to add a border radius of 5 pixels, and that's just going to give it some rounded corners. And I'm going to copy that and put that into the email input as well, just to kind of soften that up a bit. So let's go back. So our subscribe text is Lotto, and it's in black. So we want to make that white so that it'll stand out on the pink background. So color, we're going to make that white. And I'm going to go ahead and do font weight bold. So I'm going to save changes and see where we're at. There we go. So the one other thing I want to add a little more padding to this. So I'm going to go back and add 10 pixels of padding on this as well, so it matches the input. So there you go. There's just a basic coming soon page that you can spread the word about your website launch, get it up and running pretty quickly. And this is the free plugin. So real quickly, I want to show you the premium version of the plugin, which I prefer. It has a few more features. The design portion is a bit easier to use, and you don't have to pull in custom code for your form. You don't have to even put in CSS styling for it either. So I'm going to show you that real quick. I'm going to close up these tabs and go over to my plugins page. One other thing I want to show you. Once you're done making your coming soon page, you just want to click enable coming soon mode, and that's going to turn it on. And so anybody that visits your site and isn't logged in is going to see your coming soon page. So that means that once you log into WordPress, you're going to see the actual site and you can work on your site behind the scenes, but anybody else who visits isn't going to be logged into WordPress, so they're going to see your coming soon page. So I'm going to go back to plugins. I'm going to deactivate the free version and activate the pro version. And so I'm going to go over to settings and coming soon pro. So you'll see the interface is a little bit different, but there's still, a lot of the settings are still the same. So you can upload your logo, add your headline, add your description, but then you've got form settings where you choose where you want to save your subscribers to. You can turn the name field on. You can add a privacy policy, and so it will do all of that for you. So real quick, I want to preview what I've done here so far. And you'll see that I added my background image, but this sign up form is a lot cleaner than what I had before, and it looks really nice, and it's totally customizable in Coming Soon Pro without me having to dig into code. So, and you'll see my description box. I'm on my visual tab. There's no code here for my form. It's just automatically added in. They have thank you page settings so that when somebody opts in, you can say, hey, thanks for signing up. Here's some share buttons. You can even add your own tweet text and things like that. I've even added a countdown on ours, and there's also a progress bar. So that's another cool feature with this. And there's different social media profiles and things like that. So you've got a lot more settings with this one. So if you go over to design settings, then you still have your background, and you can choose like where, if you want it loaded from the center of, if you want to center it within the browser window. And then when you come down to typography, you have a lot more options. So anything that's in the Google Fonts library is here, and you can search to find the one that you need. You can look at the font weights and styles and update your colors and all of that. So you can even add a typekit ID, and then when you do that, it will be similar to what I showed you with Google Fonts. You'll have to add CSS to update your fonts and show the ones from Typekit. You have more control over the container, where it's centered, the color and the opacity and all of that. So there's just more options here, and then you still have your custom CSS that you can add and change however you want. And then over here you have language strings, so you can actually update the text for this button and things like that. So there you have it. As you can see, if you have a lot of customization options, if it's going to be a while before you launch, then I'd recommend the Pro version. It's a lot easier to use, and you can get something that looks really nice, and you can really spread the word if you've got a while before your site launches. This even has a feature with the countdown that it will automatically launch your site at the end of the countdown. So that's another cool little feature that the Pro version has. But if you just need to get something up and running now, the free version is a great option, and you can still customize it to your needs and make it look great. Thanks for watching. For more tips and tricks on using WordPress, visit elembee.com.